All right. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. These are going to be a series of short guides for the game Utopia. Um, so let's start with the extra basics because there are some people who have never played this game. That's okay. You are welcome. All right, so I'm going to start off by signing in. This is the browser that you can sign in through. There's also an app. I need to probably say that. There's also an app that you can sign in using, and the app is really cool. I love the direction that they're going with it, but it does not have everything available on it yet. So I definitely recommend getting at least comfortable with the browser, even if you're doing most things through the app. Some things you can only do. All right, so let's just go over what is important to do. So first things first, hopefully you can see my cursor here at the top. This is the in-game chat. Whenever you're online, you can chat through the system. Again, something that only the browser supports right now. I don't think you can chat. It shows who is currently here. You can click size to make it bigger. All right, the first things, I guess it loads into the kingdom page. I'm not sure that it does. I think it might load. But this is our kingdom. If you click kingdom, this is what you'll get. You can also go to other kingdoms by typing in these numbers here to find the kingdom. Yeah, you can sort. This is really useful in the kingdom page. You can sort by lot number, the province name, race, how much land everybody has, network, etc. This column here is actually something to keep in your mind. When we get to the guide about attacking, this is something that you do pay attention to. Also, these little tabs here are really useful. They utilize the old intent. So if you click original, you'll just be here. General gives a generic intel about the things. Now, I prefer the new Intel site for most of it, especially because it just looks nicer. But this is a quick way to look at it without having to open the new tab. You can see the race, personality, etc., everything about the kingdom. Now, if you go to another kingdom, for example, let's go to 1-7. I don't know that I can't share this guide with everything because it reveals. All right, but going to 1-7, for example, you can click on this, and if you've gotten the intel, you can see their numbers as well. Right? Now, there are other things like sciences, right? We haven't gotten all of their science. So you can see the ones that have numbers on them. Those are the sciences we've collected. Survey, this is for buildings. You can see the ones we've collected and what running, like these are all in percentages. You can look at military. Resources is another good one. You can sort by GC, for example. If you want to steal GC, you can see, oh, based on the latest intel that we got, Yippee-ki-yay has the most. Now, this is, and I'll explain this later again, but this is where that gains function is really important. Notice how Yippee-ki-yay is very small. For me, my gains on Yippee-ki-yay are 0. That applies to thievery as well. If I try to steal from Yippee-ki-yay, even though he or she has the most gold in their kingdom, I won't really be very successful. Gains are reduced based on birth mostly, and that, like I said, doesn't. But anyway, that's another topic. And you can look at all these other tabs. I encourage playing around with them, but as this is just a basic guide for what to do when you log in, we don't want to get too carried away talking about other things. So first thing to do anytime you log in is visit the throne page. I think this is what actually shows up when you log in usually. As you can see, this is called the Royal Commands. This is something that you should read every time you log in. Now, I personally update the date that I last changed it. So the last time I changed it was June 16th, year 1. So that was about 4 hours ago. So that is the most recent update that I have given to the right now. It talks about ritual, it talks about the ceasefire thing that happened this morning. Now, sometimes I do change this so frequently that you might miss something that I posted in the Royal. So for example, let's say I posted this, and then let's say I go in there now and I change everything and say have other orders. Well, if you didn't log in during that time, you wouldn't have seen most of the time. That shouldn't matter. What matters is that you know what's going on now. Okay, so the most recent thing is what you know. Always check. Looks like I got some golden runes sent to me from YouTube. I definitely did not want them, but that's okay. We'll figure out what to do. Yeah. All right. So throne page, important. Kingdom, we already talked about this. The other thing is to consider the kingdom news. You can see who's been attacking from our kingdom and into our kingdom here. Have a browse every once in a while to see what's going on. We had a little bit of fiesta this week. News is specifically your own province. This is important to look at because sometimes when you go to throne room, the news will be loaded up here under recent. But I've had cases where I've logged in, and even though there was recent news, it wasn't showing up here before. So sometimes it's okay. It's good to go check your news and just to see if there's been anything. Let's see. But yeah, the important thing about this is this left side here. These are all your main tabs. I'm just going to go over the most important ones for logging in, and then I will make a new guide for the like each individual one. That's like, so those are the main ones right there, right? Throne, Kingdom, News, and Kingdom News. We'll talk about these things in another guide, these things in another guide. The other one that I wanted to show you in this particular intro is the Intel site. Now, similar to how you had that one that I showed you in the Kingdom page that uses the old Intel site, this is the new Intel site. It's really cool. I like the darker color scheme or theme. You have basically the same kinds of tabs here. You know, you can look at everybody else's sciences. If you're a little bit like, ooh, what should I put science? You can see kind of what people are focusing on. You can ask questions about why that's important, and so on and so forth, right? All right, so that's the Intel site. You can also click on enemy. You can change it, like oftentimes it will default to Kingdom 1.1, which you can't do anything, but this is, but you can go to like Hidden Kingdom, for example. As long as you've done Intel on those provinces, you can see that information about that province. You can see how old the Intel is here, 1 day for these. So these are relatively old, that's why they're red. Newer Intel, like if you green. Yeah, I encourage just playing around with this, looking at it and, you know, figuring stuff out from there. Ask questions, just ask. And that's where I want to go next. So the last part of this guide is going to talk about the how to talk to people. So the first one that I want to show you is the forums. This is, you know, if you're not using Discord, this is the only real way to like have good solid communication. I've already posted guides in here, and you know, like I said, the reason I'm going to be going over things with videos is because you know, walls of text. I know that's not everybody's favorite thing to do. So yeah, so but this is, you know, this is a guide. The nice thing about text is, for example, let's say you're thinking about your build, right? Click on the builds guide. Okay, look, I have here war builds, I have peacetime builds, and that's it, right? But not only do I have war builds, you can go and be like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff here. Well, you can look at what you're playing. For example, you're playing a hybrid attacker thief, right? And I even give an example of what one of those could be. Orc rogue, for example, would be an attacker thief. This is a suggested build. It isn't something that you must do 100% exactly like this. You know, alter it to your needs and your wants out of your province, right? If you want to be a little bit more thief heavy, you know, maybe consider running higher thieves dens. Or if you want to be more attack heavy, you know, maybe focus more on the thieves, the training grounds and things like that. Also how you distribute your military. But anyway, the point of this is to show you that the forums are here, there are guides posted here. I'll go over these things, but the nice thing about text is that you can just come here and look at this, you know, Whereas something with the video, you might have to like scroll back or, you know, like rewind to like look at again, stuff like that. So the guides are there. Besides that, there is the mail system. This is how you send direct messages to people in the game. Again, if you don't have something like Discord, or if you're trying to talk to another province in another kingdom, then you might not have Discord. This is how you talk. Like, you know, for example, earlier today, this kingdom that waved us was like, hey, we're not looking for war. Somebody just head out. Somebody hit out. There was 8 attacks from their kingdom. Anyway. So yeah, stuff like that. So the way I talk to other monarchs, you know, to talk about war and things like that, that's through the mails. Or to people in my kingdom who don't have Discord or don't use Discord, I usually have to go through the mail. Okay, that should be about it for this guide. It's a little longer than I intended, but